Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? I am super excited for this video because we're going to be duping an Urban Decay Naked palette, but the twist is that this palette doesn't actually exist. So there are loads of accounts on Instagram where they kind of create drawings, like graphic designs of palettes, and do really inspiring color stories. So Katie Marie reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do a collaboration with her, turning one of these fake palettes into a real palette using single shadows, and I thought it was such a fun idea. I believe that she has done this concept in the past as well, so she's going to be duping a palette, which I'll leave right here, which is the Urban Decay Naked Lemon palette, I believe. Let me just double check because my memory is a little bit sketchy. Yes, it is the lemon palette, and it looks super, super beautiful, so I can't wait to see what she comes up with. If you're not familiar with Katie, she is an amazing YouTuber. She's so organized. I don't know how she does it all. She's also an eyeshadow palette lover. If you love colorful palettes, especially she lives for like grungy color stories, you will love Katie. She does a lot of thorough reviews, so I'll make sure to link her down below for you. And then the one that I'm going to be doing today is this one here. It is the Naked Urban Decay Greed palette, and I was just really drawn to this because it has warm tones, cool tones, like super vibrant gold, super vibrant blue. I just thought it looked like a really fun neutral palette. I was really inspired by this color story. I feel like you could go so dramatic or so soft with it, so I wanted to go ahead and dupe this one today. I also wanted to give credit where it's due. I apologize for not mentioning this in the video originally. I was feeling a little bit off today when I was filming this, but Ari Lynette did the Naked Urban Decay Lemon palette picture, and then Doodles by the Bunny did the Naked Urban Decay Greed. Both really, really amazing accounts, super inspirational. I highly recommend following them and checking them out on Instagram if you haven't already. So if you want to see my palette, let's just go ahead and jump right on in. I have all the shadows here, and I'm not gonna lie, this was really hard for me. It was really hard. Oh, I'm such a person who loves doing the same size pans always, so to include these two Clionadh shadows was the struggle to make myself do it, but I'm glad that I did because they're such special golds. They really belong in here. But you can see I just went through. We've got a mixture of golds, the blues, the neutrals, cool tones, and I really, really love how it turned out. I'm going to show you guys how I got this look using this palette at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that if you want to see a quick tutorial. But I really, really love this color story, and I kind of took things into my own hands a little bit with the golds because I don't have a ton of gold single shadows, so I kind of just use the ones that I own, that I love, and it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. This is more of just being inspired by color stories and using what you already have, and I just really, really love this. In fact, I want to do more of it in the future because as I was going through, I just got super excited about it. So let's go ahead and do some swatches, and I'll tell you what each shadow is, where they're from, because we've got a bunch of different brands going on here. So this first shadow is Shimma Shimma from Makeup Geek. It's just a very classic satin shade, and when I saw oops, my bad. When I saw the first shade in the palette was a satin, I just knew that I needed to use Shimma Shimma. That's what I have underneath my brow bone today. It's such a good highlighting shade, and that's the OG. They reformulated it. It's not as good now in my opinion. So the next shade looked to be a matte, very light shade with like a little bit of a yellow undertone. So I chose this shade from Coastal Scents, which is called Pale Pollen, and I think it might actually be like slightest bit satiny in the pan. It looks very matte. Even swatched out, it looks matte, but when I tried to use it as a matte, it kind of looked like a satin, and I didn't really love it through the crease. But it is like a fun little pop of yellow, and even if you wanted to do like a matte eye, I feel like that would be a nice addition. The next shade in the palette is a cool tone gray. I think the one in the picture might be a little bit more blue toned, but it works just fine. So this is the shade Concrete Jungle from M Cosmetics. Really nice shadow, super, super smooth. And then lastly in this row, we're jumping into the gold. So these next two shades, there's a gold that's like a little bit more of a warm gold, and then a gold that's a little bit more of like a cool gold. So for the warm one, I went with Chandelier from Clionadh. This one has a little bit of like a green shift to it, so it's not your typical gold, but I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite gold shadows. It's just so beautiful. And then the next one that's a little bit more cool toned, I chose Moonlit from Divina Cosmetics. This is such a stunning shadow, and it's really interesting because when you swatch it next to a silver, it looks super gold, and when you swatch it next to a gold, it looks very silver. It's just like perfectly in between, and it's so sparkly and just one of the prettiest shadows ever. Definitely an underrated shadow from Divina. Look at that. So beautiful. So I wanted to go ahead and include that, and I feel like that really works kind of in between the different warm tones and the blues going in the palette. It's like a good, just, I could see it working for a lot of things. Next we have a very like mustardy, soft, grungy brown. So I went ahead and chose this shade called Backwoods from Sydney Grace. And this is a pretty color. I actually kind of struggled with it today. I feel like the newer shadows from Sydney Grace are like just like the perfect matte formula, but this one feels a little bit drier. I mean, it's not like super dry, like it's not terrible, but as far as the color story goes, it gets the job done, and I know a lot of palettes now have that kind of grungy brown shade. So next we have a really beautiful vibrant blue, and I went with Icicle from Glaminatrix Cosmetics. The blue that's in the palette might be like a little, just a little tiny bit deeper, but it's still very vibrant. Either way, I just really like this blue, so it's what I decided to go ahead and use. And Glaminatrix has some really intense metallic shadows. So pretty. All right, next we have the shade Majesty from Clionadh, and I know it looks very orange in the pan, but this shade, when applied on the lid, I feel like majority of the time it looks very gold. So when I saw this super like yellowy, vibrant gold, this is the shadow that I thought of. I had other things, but they just didn't have the same level of intensity that I wanted. Also, I've noticed that because I changed up my lighting a little bit, I can see the shift in Majesty, which I could barely see before. It has a little bit of green going to it as well. I don't know if you can see right there in my outer V, like the green that's shifting on Majesty. So it is a really cool gold. It's my kind of gold because I just don't really go for typical golds as often. I need shifts or I need something else going on. Like I said, I mean, it looks very orange there, but I don't feel like it looks quite as orange on the eye. It really depends on what you put it around, but I liked it for the color story. So next we have a blue. This is, I believe, Yacht Life from Colored Raine. Not that it really matters anyway, because I'm pretty sure that is no longer available. It was one of their pressed pigments. I can't even remember what the line was called. It was, they came out first as singles and then they made them into a palette. I'm blanking on it right now, but this is such a bright cobalt kind of blue. I just felt like it worked perfectly for the palette. It is very dry, but also very pigmented. So I had a different blue from Terra Moons. It might have been called Arabian Nights, and it was a very similar kind of tone, but this one was a little bit brighter, so I thought it made more sense, but since it's not available, that is an alternative. So next we have a very beautiful, true, just metallic bronze. So I went ahead and chose the shade Light My World from Sydney Grace, and this one just felt perfect. I swatched a ton of different bronzy shadows, but this one I felt was exactly what I wanted because it didn't get too gold, it didn't get too green, it didn't get too orange. It's just a bronze, which is what I wanted here. Like, look at that. Super pretty. Next we have a nice deep matte brown. This is shade 196 from Bernovich. It's just a really nice chocolate brown, and it's super easy to blend, super easy to work with. I've really been enjoying their matte formula. So that adds a nice amount of depth. And then last but not least, we have a black shadow, and I feel like I don't even know if I own any other black single shadows, but I have this one here called Corrupt from Makeup Geek, so I thought that that would work perfectly fine. Super pigmented, also super dry, has also been reformulated, so this is the OG, but I felt like it was just such a cute little color story. I really like this one. So I cannot wait to see what Katie's looks like. I feel like she's going to do the most beautiful grungy green look. but I think that this is, I feel like this is something I could see Urban Decay actually doing. I mean, the matte to shimmer ratio would be a little bit hopeful for them, but I feel like this has the neutrals while still just being a little bit something new and inspiring. So if you want to see how I got this look, let's just go ahead and jump right on in. I'm going to go ahead and start off with the shade Backwoods from Sydney Grace Cosmetics, and I'm just going to throw that shade right through my crease. I'm going with a little bit more, that applied a bit skippy. Just going to pack it on. I really don't think that shadow liked the eye primer that I used today, but I'm going to go ahead and take this shade from Coastal Scents, and it is called Pale Pollen. So I'm just going to use that to help blend out the edge. Okay, there's so much noise going on right now, but I just went ahead and blended that to the best of my ability. I'm sorry, there's a base not far from me, and there's like super loud bombing going on, so if you hear that, I apologize. I'm going to go ahead now and deepen up a little bit with this brown. It's the shade number 196 from Brnovich. Just going to take a little bit of that and throw it in my outer V. I'm already not happy with how the crease looks. I was just struggling to blend, but I think we can throw some really beautiful shimmers on and make it work. I'm going to go into this blue right here called Icicle from Glaminatrix Cosmetics, and I'm going to put that along my entire lower lash line. I'm going to take this blue right here from Colored Raine called Yacht Life, and I'm just going to pop that on the outer third of my lower lash line just to add a little bit of depth. Alright, now I'm going to go into some NYX Glitter Primer. I'm actually going to use this for all of the shimmers that I used today, but I'm just going to start off with a little tiny bit and pop that on the inner corner. I'm going to go into this shade called Moonlit from Divina. Just popping that on the inner corner. Oh my goodness. So intense. I'm also going to pop some glitter primer all over my lid. I'm going to go ahead and start off with this gold right here called Chandelier, and then I'm going to use this one called Majesty. So I'm going to take Chandelier on the front. Just going to blend it into Moonlit a little bit, and then using Majesty on the rest. Also going to take just a little tiny bit of Makeup Geek Shimma Shimma and pop that underneath my brow bone. Really quick off camera, I'm going to throw on some black liner, some mascara, and I'll be right back. Finish this look off, I'm going to go into the Anastasia Amrezy highlighter. I recently pulled this back out and I forgot just how much I love it. So I feel like for a very gold-centered look, this is perfect. I'm feeling a really simple lip today, so I'm just going to go into the Muse lip gloss from Lisa Eldridge. Alright, so this is the finished look. I really hope that you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out Katie's channel down below. Tell her that I sent you, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.